Good evening, everybody. Now we are going to start the Buddha Puja. Please stand up and recite Namo Tassa to observe the 5 precepts. Buddhang saranang gacchami, dhammang saranang gacchami, sanghang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami, dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami, tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami, adinādāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Samanta cakkavālesu atra gaccantu devata saddhammang munirājassa sunantu saggamokkadang dhammassavanakālo ayam bhadantā dhammassavanakālo ayam bhadantā dhammassavanakālo ayam bhadantā namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa paravajñānupassissa niccang ujjhānapannino āsavā tassa vaddhanti ārāte āsavakkayāti. Good evening, everybody. I'm so pleased to see so many people assembled here to participate in this short dhamma sermon. Tonight I was supposed to speak on very profound dhamma discourse, which is called as Sabbāsava Sutta. The English title is the discourse on all cankers. I don't know how many of you understand cankers. You may understand cancer, not cankers. Let me try to explain the summary or gist of this discourse. In a way, it is very profound discourse, and yet in such a short time, it may not be possible for me to expound the whole discourse in detail. And therefore, I try to do some justice to this discourse, giving at least main point. Buddha said in the discourse, Jānato aham bhikkhave passato āsavanam khayam vadāmi no ajanto na passato. I don't want to quote too much Pali, also in order to save time. I don't think too many of you understand Pali. So therefore let me be brief and stop saying too much in Pali. The meaning of this first sentence is bhikkhus, meaning addressing monks who were closely associating with the Buddha. He said, bhikkhus, when one knows and sees that individual can overcome cankers, meaning influx, that is, various types of defilements all together are called asava. The word asava in Pali comes from a Sanskrit word ashrava. Ashrava is a thing in Ayurvedic medicine people use to cure certain diseases. What it means, people collect barks, roots, nuts, fruits of various medicinal plants and pound them and pour some water, put in a jar, bury in the ground for a certain period of time to brew, like you brew beer, whiskey. You brew it. And then after some time you take it out, open the jar, and very little of this would be given to a certain people who have certain sickness. That would cure their sickness. The meaning is brewing. So you brew like you brew tea or coffee, you brew it for a certain period of time. Similarly, we have brewed our defilements for a long period of samsara. In our samsara existence, life after life, life after life, we have brewed so many defilements. So, these are called asava. And Buddha said, no, the one who knows and sees can overcome these long brewed defilements, various psychic irritants. Not someone who does not know and see can overcome them. Then Buddha asked, what to know and overcome? By knowing what? By saying what? One can overcome these psychic irritants, defilements. Then he himself answered the question. Yoniso manasikara and ayoniso manasikara. Wise paying, someone who knows, by paying wise attention, these defilements can overcome. By paying wrong attention, unmindful attention, unwise attention, you cannot overcome these defilements. Wise attention and unwise attention, Buddha has given a very beautiful simile to illustrate the meaning of wise attention and unwise attention. This simile is a simile of lion and dog. Sometimes, one day I used this simile to say to something to somebody, and he got so offended. I hope you would not get offended when this simile is used. This was used by the Buddha. Dog and lion. When you throw a stick, rock or frisbee to a dog, dog will run after that and catch it, hold it, bite it or bring it back to you. I think you have seen that. But if you throw the same stick, frisbee or rock to a lion, lion will not after that. Will not run after that. Lion will run after you. Because lion wants to find out where it came from. He wants to find the root. Friends, dogs will never behave like a lion. You may kiss the dog, sleep with the dog, hug the dog, carry the dog, and do everything to dog like you are doing to a child. But dog will never behave like a lion. As soon as you leave the dog, unleash the dog, where does it go? Where does it go to sniff? Dirty place. Dirty place. So, unmindful attention, unmindful reflection is just like dog behavior. The mind goes out to poke into others' business, poke into their nose, into others' business. How other people eat, what other people do, what they dress, how they talk, what they talk, who do they associate with, and so forth and so on, always finding others' business. Mindful attention or mindful reflection is always coming back to us, into our mind. In the qualities of the Dhamma, Buddha has mentioned, Ehi Pasika, come and see, come and see. Come and see is an invitation. When you get this invitation, you must ask 3 questions. Question number 1, who sent the invitation? Number 2, where to go? Number 3, what to see? When you ask the first question, who sent the invitation, you get an answer, nobody. Sometimes people say, Buddha sent the invitation. Buddha never sent an invitation to anybody and said, come and see this picture, see this movie, see this place, come with your friends and relatives and sincerely go to a Buddha. He never sent that kind of invitation. So who sent the invitation? Nobody. To go where? Nowhere. To see what? Nothing. Does this invitation make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. But when you look at the Dhamma with understanding, knowing, with mindful reflection, wise reflection, with mindful attention, you can see the whole sense of this invitation. That is, come inside. Come within ourselves. Come inside and see our own problems. Where is suffering? Does it hang from clouds? Can you find in libraries, bookstores, in universities, houses? You can never find it. It is within you. Where is the cause of it? Within you. Where is the end of it? Within you. The way to leading to the end of it is within you. So, in this discourse, Buddha said, someone who is he used the word putujjana. Putujjana means just an average ordinary person who has not seen Arya Puggala, Aryana Adassari, Arya Dhamme Akovido, Arya Dhamme Avinito, or Sappurisanang Adassari, Sappurisa Dhamme Akovido, Sappurisa Dhamme Avinito. One who does not see a noble one. Arya. We call Arya Puggalas. Atta Arya Puggala. Who does not see a noble one, who does not associate with noble one, who is not disciplined in accordance with the teachings of the noble ones, will not know and will not see that when one pays unwise attention, unmindful reflection, that individual will allow unarisen, unwholesome psychic irritants, asavas, to arise in the mind. There are three kinds of asavas. I use the word asava because it's translating into English to make some sense would be very difficult because it's a very complex word. It simply means, as I mentioned, influx or defilement. If you just remember the word defilement, that would make it reasonably easy to understand. The one who is not paying wise attention or mindful attention to oneself, what is happening within oneself, then kamasava, bhavasava, avidjasava can arise. Kamasava means desires for sensual pleasures. To see objects, hear sounds, smell smells, taste, and touch, tangible, and thinkable, the mental thought, mental objects. By seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, hearing, and thinking itself does not bring defilement. But seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking is done with unmindful reflection, unwisely. And therefore, thinking, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching can arouse unarisen greed, kamasava. And it can arise unarisen bhavasava. Bhavasava means two types. One is doing things with thoughts, words and deeds intentionally, which sometimes is called kamma. That is called kamma bhava. How? When we see, suppose you see somebody's property, somebody's something, you build up covetousness. You wish, I wish I had this. There you allow unarisen, unwholesome mental state to arise. covetousness is unwholesome mental state. But it does not stop right there. When covetousness arises, you plan or plot to do wrong thing. What is the wrong thing? You may even try to steal it, to take for your own possessions, depriving the other persons of its ownership. That is how we end up in using this kind of unmindful reflection. That is called bhavasava, kamma bhava. Then avijjasava. Avidya means ignorance. Ignorance, because of unmindful attention, unmindful reflection, unwise attention, we develop our unarisen ignorance to arise. They are called avijjasava. So, but one who knows and sees Aryans, noble ones, they learn to pay mindful reflection or mindful attention or wise attention to their sound, sight, see, the smell, taste, touch and thought, and would not allow greed, covetousness, ignorance and unwholesome kamma bhavasava to arise. And this, friends, as I mentioned, this is from a difficult, very profound discourse. You can see when you mindfully looking at your own mental state, when you see something, hear something, without your awareness, how much greed, ignorance and intention to do something wrong will arise. There are 60 places where greed arises. This can happen every day. I like to play with little with these maths, figures. I think when you hear figures, you may be confused and you might wonder, how can we remember all these figures? Well, when you learn physics, chemistry, mathematics, you want to ask that question, you will memorize all these figures. But when it comes to Dhamma, you ask, how can we remember all these things? There's a very simple way. I tell you 60 places where greed arises because of our unwise, unmindful attention. Where are these 60 places? Very easy to remember. How many senses we have? We have 6 senses. What are they? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind. Now, we have desire for our eyes. Not just the eyes, but we have a desire for our vision. Who doesn't like the vision? With eyes, we see, that is what is called our vision. When our vision is poor, we cannot pay attention, we cannot read, we cannot see, it is painful. But when we have a good vision, we like it, we desire it. So desire arises there. Hearing faculty. We love to have a good hearing faculty. Smell. When we are young, we think we can never lose our faculty of smell. But dear friends, when we grow old, we do lose it. I remember one of my friends, he had a cat. Every morning, this cat, or at night, this cat and dirty just by his bed. Next morning when he gets up, he steps on the dog, on the cat's dirt. He said, until I step on it, I don't smell. Just imagine how badly he has lost his smelling faculty, nose faculty, smelling function, so badly that he cannot smell the cat's dirt, which is, we all know how smelly it is. He lost it. Taste. We cannot keep our taste the same way as we had it when we are young. As we are growing older, I can tell you from my experience. And therefore, believe me, we lose that. When we have it, we love it. And we do all sorts of things to please our senses, our taste. Then, our touch. Sometimes our fingertips first lose their touch. Then even the skin does not have the same touching sensation. And the thoughts are not always very sharp. Even the thoughts become blunt because our thinking faculty becomes weak. When they are strong, young, healthy, we love them. So these are the 6 places desire arises. Similarly, our object, visual object, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and thought object. Sight, we love sight. Sight means not only inanimate sight by like trees, plants, parks, and so forth, but human, men, women, children, boys, girls, animals, places, and so forth. So many trillions of things are there for our eyes to see. They are pleasing to us, and desire arises there. Then consciousness arises from the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind, and visual objects. Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and so forth. Consciousness arises. The consciousness also is very pleasing to us, and desire arises there. So, 6 kinds of consciousness: eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, and so forth. Similarly, the touch, the contact, eye contact, ear contact, nose contact, tongue contact, body contact, mind contact, and so forth. There are 6 kinds of contacts. These also are places where desire can arise. Then, as soon as contact arises, what happens? Feeling arises. Feeling arises. Pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, neutral feeling, and so on. And that also is 6 kinds of feeling. Feeling arising through our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind. Thereby arises. And then perception. When we feel, then begin to perceive what we have seen, what we have felt. Therefore, there are 6 kinds of perceptions. Perception is called sanya. Rupa sanya, sattva sanya, gandha sanya, rasa sanya, potthappa sanya, dhamma sanya, and so forth. Their desire arises. Then when perception arises, we begin to think. They are called thought. Rupa sanchetana, sattva sanchetana, gandha sanchetana, rasa sanchetana, potthappa sanchetana, dhamma sanchetana, and so forth, mano sanchetana. 6 kinds of thinking, thought. Their desire arises. More we think about them, more desire arises. And then, because of this thinking, desire arises. Rupa tanna, sattva tanna, gandha tanna, rasa tanna, potthappa tanna, dhamma tanna, and so forth. And then, after desire, we begin to proliferate vitakka. Rupa vitakka, sattva vitakka, and so forth. And then we have sustaining, maintaining, keeping these desires in our mind. That's called vichara. Rupa vichara, sattva vichara, gandha vichara, and so forth. These are the 10 places. If we divide these 6 by 10, you get 60 places where desire arises. That arises because of unwise attention, unwise, unmindful reflection. So, Buddha said, when we pay mindful attention, wise attention, going to the root, to our mind, then we can see how desire arises and how we can prevent them from arising. And so, when we pay mindful attention, mindful reflection, or wise attention, we do not allow these things to arise. Rather, we pay mindful attention to how suffering arises from all these things. What are the causes of suffering? What is the end of suffering? And how to end the suffering, the path. That means understanding 4 noble truths. And this way, we can overcome our greed, the cause of our suffering, and stop influxes or defilements arising in our mind. Friends, I try to summarize the whole discourse in these few words, and therefore sometimes we may even use details and some elaborations. And however, if we understand, or at least this much, we understand one of the ways of overcoming defilements. There are 7 steps. This is number 1. Number 2, by what is called samvara. Samvara means restraining or disciplining. Disciplining our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind, we can prevent unmedicine, unwholesome mental states from arising and overcome already arisen unwholesome mental states and prevent future unmedicine, unwholesome mental states from arising in the mind. Discipline. These are, of course, not very easy for average people to observe. But when we train, decide ourselves to make discipline, it is not impossible for anybody to develop. That is the second way of overcoming or preventing unwholesome defilements from arising in our mind. Third way is called patisevana. Patisevana means using. Using, I can give only one example out of four. In case of wearing cloth, this refers particularly to monastics, monks, nuns. When we wear robes, you wear clothes, it doesn't matter, we both wear certain type of clothes. You call it uniform, we call ours uniform. This is our uniform. When we wear clothes or robes, we say, Patisanka yoniso chivaram patisevami. I wear these robes with mindful reflection. Yavadev sita sapatigata, to prevent cold air from attacking me, or to prevent cold air, cold. Unnasa patigata, to prevent heat. Dansa makasa vata tapasiring sapasam pasanam patigata, to prevent flies, mosquitoes, cat lice attacking the body. Dansa makasa vata tapasiring sapasam pasanam patigata, Yavadeva hirikopina patichadanatta, to cover my nakedness. I wear these robes. Actually, these are the basic purposes of wearing clothes. Anybody, to prevent cold air affecting us, heat, mosquitoes, flies, and so on, and above all, to cover our nakedness. Very simple. Everything else we assume, we attribute to wearing clothes are additional embellishments, unnecessary things just to boost our ego. Other than that, we don't have any other purpose of wearing clothes. When we mindfully use these clothes, friends, we don't have to buy so many clothes every month. Some people buy even every week. I tell you, friends, you may not do that, you may not even believe that. I used one pullover, just a little like warm shirt, 40 years. 40 years. When I first came to England, I did not have any warm clothes. Somebody took me to a shop and bought me a shirt. This is seasonal shirt. Only winter I use it, spring wash it and keep it, and next winter I use it. So 40 years I used. Only in 2008 it actually was torn and worn out so much I could not use it and gave away. Actually threw away. How long do you wear your clothes? Because of the desire, greed, you go to a shop. Shopkeepers are specialists. They have learned marketing, learning a course at universities to do marketing. Why? They want to arouse a last ounce of greed and squeeze every penny from your pocket. That is the motive, so that they can make their pocket rich and empty your pocket. So marketing is a very powerful way of arousing your greed. So they display their items in such an attractive way, you cannot take your eyes away when you see a blouse. It's such a fantastic, beautiful, brand new, latest model. And displayed it in such a beautiful way, you have to buy it. So why worry? You touch your pocket, your handbag, there are many cards, plastic cards. You pull those cards out and buy this. You don't have to worry about money, you don't deal with money, this card is there. Give the card, buy this blouse, because we have to wear it for the next party, next meeting, next wedding, next gathering, we have to wear it. To buy this, come home, open the closet, you find 10 of them, same kind, same color. You might have used only once. You add this also, since you bought it, you wear it. At the end of the year, you put the rest in yard sale. We learn because of not restraining ourselves, not disciplining our senses, not only the blouse, shoes, ties, coats, and so forth and so on. We keep collecting. Now finally, you have bought so many. Finally, you also want to have some additional collector's items to fill your closet, which you never use. Just for display, you buy some collector's items. So, when we do not pay mindful attention and do not learn to restrain our senses, see how much unnecessary things in our practical daily life we collect, we get, we buy. All this we can, not only that, food, so many items we buy unnecessarily. This is one simple example. So, to reduce our greed, desire, we have to restrain ourselves, be mindful. When we see this blouse, shoes, ties, coat, we must ask, do I need this? Let me go home and check my closets and see how many of them I have. Is there anyone that I can still use? If I can use, why should I buy another one? We can restrain. So reduce our desire, greed. The third way, one is restraining our senses. Third way I mentioned third one is using. Using is this one. Using our material things, reflecting the purpose of using it. And over and above whatever we try to gain would be additional greed. And the fourth way is parivajjana, avoiding. We avoid wrong places, animals, dangerous situations, dangerous places, we avoid. I say this, and some examples, in the sutra we see wild animals and so forth and so on. Sometimes people practice metta meditation, loving friendliness meditation. Then they think if they practice loving friendliness meditation or metta meditation, they think, because there is certain mystics built around the practice of metta. They think if they practice metta, no fire, no poison, no weapon affect them. It is given in the discourse called Metta and Sansa Discourse. It is said, no nas agniva, sattangva, visangva kamati. No poison, no weapon, no fire affect. So sometimes people think, and also one of the benefits is amanussalam piyo hoti. Meditation practitioners will be loved by non-human beings, including wild animals. So, somebody thinking that wild animals, wild elephants, tigers and so on would not affect them because they practice metta, if they go to lion's cave practicing metta and open the cave, or if he is in a cage, open the cage, go inside, do you think this lion will not affect you, attack you? Definitely this lion will attack you. There was a story of a monk in Thailand. He was known for metta meditation. One day a cameraman went to a forest with this monk. An elephant came, and cameraman thought this elephant would not affect this monk who was practicing metta. So as soon as he went there, elephant came, this man was trying to take a picture, elephant immediately came and attacked this monk and crushed him. So where was his metta? So whenever dangerous situation arises, dangerous situation is there, we must try to avoid it. If there is a fire, don't try to jump into it thinking that you will not be burned. You know how Samavati and 500 ladies practicing metta meditation in Udayana, King Udayana's harem, all the 500 ladies headed by Samavati practicing meditation. Every week she had metta meditation retreat. When Magandiya, another woman of King Udayana, was so angry, jealous and head full of grudge, wanted to destroy all these 500 women. She got her people and set fire to the hall where these 500 women were practicing metta meditation. They all were burned to death. Fire affected them. And similarly, weapon. If while you are meditating, if somebody comes behind and stab you, shoot you, you will die. No question about it. But the meaning of this, of course, is a different meaning. In the case of fire, poison, weapon, by all means you avoid it. Don't try to get into it. But the deep meaning of this practice, fire, not affecting fire, poison and weapon, is that your own greed, your own hatred, your own delusion will not affect you. Buddha said, Anger is a fire. Anger is a weapon. Anger is poison. Raga, dosa, moha. Raga-gina, dosa-gina, moha-gina. Raga fire, dosa fire, moha fire. These are the kind of fires that will not affect you when you practice metta. Your own hatred will not affect you. Hatred will not become active. It fades away. Your greed will not affect you. It fades away. And so forth. So, use mindful attention, mindful reflection to understand what we can overcome unwholesome mental states from arising, and overcome or prevent unwholesome mental state from arising, and overcome already arisen unwholesome mental states. Then dasana. The first one is dasana, second one is sangvara, third is parivajana, patisevana, then vinodana. Whenever greed arises, hatred arises, and the confusion arises in our mind, with mindful reflection, wise reflection, we should be able to overcome greed, hatred and delusion. And finally, one final way of overcoming influxes, asavas, is called bhavana. Bhavana. And that, of course, is the one I wanted to stress, but since it is somewhat late, I try to make it as brief as possible. What is bhavana? In this discourse, Buddha has given 7 steps of bhavana. They are called bojjhanga. Bojjhanga means, bodhi means wisdom. Anga means limb, a factor. Therefore, bojjhanga in Sanskrit, bodhi anga, bodhyanga in Sanskrit, in Pali, bojjhanga, meaning the factors or limbs or parts of enlightenment. When we practice each of them, attainment of enlightenment is guaranteed. There are 7 of them. At least you try to remember these 7 from this whole discourse. What are the 7? Number 1, mindfulness. What is mindfulness? That is a big subject. I have written several books on this subject. The number 1 is mindfulness in plain English. It has been translated. I'm not trying to promote my book, which of course may be indirectly, but I want to mention this for people to read it in order to practice mindfulness. It has been translated into 24 languages. Million copies have been already sold in English itself. So, every year they reprint it. Mindfulness is one of these 7 to practice. Mindfulness needs wise attention or mindful attention. Wise attention is the attention, paying attention to objects without greed, hatred and delusion, without any preconceived notions, without any theoretical, critical, analytical discourses. Just pay attention without greed, hatred and delusion to see things exactly as they are. What are the things? You want to see exactly as they are. Ordinarily, anybody can say when they have good eyesight, they can see anything. But friends, though we have eyes, we don't see. This is not seeing with this fleshy eyes. This is seeing with wisdom. What are we going to see? Not chairs, tables, boys, girls, women, men, elephants. No. No matter how much we see, then we never get insight. We must see the thing we have to see are very, very personal. Personal thing. What is a vision? Vision to understand things exactly as they are. What do you understand? Your body, feeling, perception, thought and consciousness. Nothing else. Not anything outside. Then what happens? You will have the last act of enlightenment called equanimity, upekka. That means upekka, when you see your body feeling and so forth, in only one thing. When you see that thing, it doesn't matter what happened, your mind remains equanimous, in equilibrium, balanced, not wavering. That's called sankhara upekka. Sankhara means conditions and conditioning. Conditioned things and conditioning things, all cause and effect, both together called sankhara. They all are having the same characteristics. They all are impermanent, they all are unsatisfactory, they all are without permanent self. When you see this, your mind will become equanimous, attaining enlightenment. When you have equanimous state, you can look at suffering impartially. At this stage, now if you look at suffering, you see this is so pessimistic. Why should I spend so much time looking for suffering? Looking at suffering, thinking suffering. Why? Because you have not attained the state of equanimity. When the mind is equanimous, Puttasa Loka Dhammehi in Mangala Sutta, Puttasa Loka Dhammehi Chittang Yassa Na Kampati Asokam Virajam Khema Etam Mangala Muttama. No matter what sort of things happen, Puttasa Loka Dhamma. Loka Dhamma means all ups and downs. Gains, loss, fame, defame, praise, blame and all this. All of them have only one thing. They all are impermanent. Praise is impermanent, gain is impermanent, loss is impermanent, health is impermanent, wealth is impermanent, marriages are impermanent, divorce is impermanent, all are impermanent. You will never find anything permanent. Then you will not be affected by anything in the world. And you will not tempt courage to increase or encourage your unreasoned, unwholesome defilements to arise. Friends, this is just a summary of this very powerful discourse. If you want to read the discourse, go to Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta number 2, and read it very carefully between lines. And you will be very happy that you read it. With this, I like to conclude this evening's Dhamma talk And I'm so pleased that all of you came so late in the evening to listen to this Dhamma talk, and I wish you all good night, and I wish you very peaceful, happy, harmonious, successful life, and may you attain Nibbana. So now we want to conclude the evening sermon by sharing merits with all the deities. We invited all the deities come and listen to Dhamma by saying Samanta Chattavalesu, invited all the deities all over our galaxies to come and listen to Dhamma. Now we have to send them back, sharing our merits with them. Therefore, let us share our merits with them. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahidrika punyantam anumoditva ciram rakkhantu sāsanam. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahidrika punyantam anumoditva ciram rakkhantu desanam. Akasattha ca bhummattha devanaga mahidrika punyantam anumoditva ciram rakkhantu mam paranam. Devo vassatu kālena sassa sampatti hotu ca pīto bhavatu loko ca raja bhavatu dhammiko. Okay, thank you once again for coming and listening to Dhamma talks. And I also hope you all continue your Dhamma practice and interest in learning Dhamma, practicing meditation, and be benefited from the Dhamma in this very life, and finally may you all attain Nibbana.